Worldbuilders. Huzzah. Wow, that was really fancy, and I don't know why. This is how we're starting.
I feel honored.
I'm so sorry. It's been weird today. Welcome back to Worldbuilders Studio, everybody. I'm really, really thrilled to have good friends with me tonight. This is exciting. I have been waiting to get Bee and Livi on here, and we did it. We did the thing. We did the thing. If you're new to Worldbuilders, this is my little short form set of... The word interview keeps coming up, but that's not really what happens. It's more like getting to listen to other storytellers and GMs and people who are writers and creators tell their side of things and how they write and create, because then I get to learn things. Yeah, I get to learn things, which is the selfish reason I started this to begin with. So I'm Hallie. I'll let Bee and Livi introduce themselves here in just a few seconds. Because we are 2 weeks out from our upcoming charity stream, I did want to mention that. So we're in full swing mode for that. You can go to @terrible_party on Twitter and Instagram. Schedule's up there along with all of the cool stuff that we're going to be doing. I know Bee is going to be with us for a game. So we're doing some cool stuff and getting to play for the Center for Suicide Awareness, which was the charity chosen by our community. If you want to join our community, shoot us a DM over on Twitter and we'll get you that invite. And we'd love to have you join us. So let's do Worldbuilders. Let's do Worldbuilders. Yes. Let's do Worldbuilders. So Bee and Livi, who are you and what do you do? No cheating, good everyone. Thoughts. Looking at the bottom of the screen where all the links are. No cheating, everyone. And where are you from and what do you do? Tell me about that.
Okay. Livi, you could go first.
I was going to say you go first because that's
okay,
polite.
I can go first.
Fight.
I'm Bee. I was the DM of Campaign 1 of the Frostwalkers podcast. I'm now a player in Campaign 2.
I stole your job.
You did. I gave you my job.
We traded off the hats.
We did. I also am one of the head writers for Worldbuilders now because free time, what's that? I do a lot of writing for just random projects. I like thinking up TTRPG ideas. Whenever one hits me, I usually grab a random friend. I'm just like, we're doing this now.
We're usually powerless to stop him.
Yeah. I'm from Chicago, and I also have been a frequent contributor of the charity streams. I think my first one was last October? No, was it last October? Because the first one I did was the Rainforest Alliance.
That was last October.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Oh!
Right? How many have we done since then? Because it was
4.
Rainforest Alliance, then it was the Project Night and Safe.
We did a mini one for the direct relief.
Right.
So 4 counting last October, yeah. And then this one upcoming.
Yeah.
No, wait, that's not right. What do we do in July? Oh, God.
We did...
July? I don't remember.
We did one, because oh my God.
I've lost my mind.
We're going to lose our minds trying to think of this.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's 4 this year.
Yes.
There have been 4 this year.
So, okay.
We did a bunch of smaller ones.
I don't remember. It's okay. I feel really bad that I don't remember, but the frickin' the bail bond. Jeez Louise.
Oh, that's it. Because I thought that was the last one you said.
I don't know. Okay, anyways.
Time is a construct. Anyway.
Time is irrelevant and it's not
flat
real.
Circle. Yeah.
But yeah, oh my God, I'm coming upon a year of being part of the crew. That's crazy. Oh man. God, around this time last year we were working on I was working on the episode with Aster.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
That was you go now before we go into something else.
I told you rabbit holes just yep. You just fell into a giant meteor hole there, Bee.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Life is a lie. I thought that was this January.
That was our first live stream, was the Astra episode.
I love this so much.
You've broken my mind. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. You go first. You do the thing now before we just lose it.
Before we do anything else. Hi, I'm Livi. I am the new DM of Frostwalkers Podcast Season 2. I played Sari on the first season, and I had a blast. B is a good DM.
Thank you.
And now I get to repay all of everything.
Uh-huh.
Right back in Season 2 with him as my player. He may regret some of his choices.
I'm never gonna regret letting someone else do the DM role, because I think that's just so much fun.
Mm-hmm. It is a lot of fun.
I agree. So, Podcast Frost at Podcast Frost is the official Twitter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Twitter did a weird thing with our handles when we made it.
That's how we wound up with Terrible Party.
Yeah.
We just kind of ran with it. We're like, okay, that's fine.
All right, we're the Terrible Party.
I guess. Well, it's a whole thing. So it's like
horrible party.
Well, I mean, oh, Livy, do you not know that story?
Wait.
The full name is the STDs.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, but then it got shortened, so we just kind of went with it. Yeah, and then they were trying to make it Terrible Party. They were trying to make it TPK, but we couldn't come up with an appropriate K, so we just left it off. I was just like, okay, this is too much work.
Now we're just TP, and it's like it's better, but it's not
better.
Great.
Well, it was a high commodity here a few months ago, so it was like.
True.
Anyways, I don't even want to think about that.
Let's not.
I don't want to think about that. So, where I always kind of like to start people is where did y'all's project start? Like, what B had mentioned that it was, sometimes he gets childs and runs off with them and grabs people. Is that what happened with Frostwalkers, or where did that? Where was this born? Where was it born?
In your brain.
Yeah, pretty much. The truthful answer was there's like the poetic answer, but in all honesty, it was spite.
I want the dirty, gritty. Yeah, give me that.
Yeah, it was spite. I had a real bad actually, I should rescind. I had a campaign. My first game ever was a home game with my friends. Mm-hmm. My buddy Graham was the DM. I think he's a great DM and an awesome friend. The other players, however, were all high school age boys. And I was also a high school age boy. But I was the person who chose to play the bard and not the super athletic warrior. You get the idea. So it quickly turned into, hey, is this banter or are you bullying me? And then there was a sorcerer who liked setting things on fire and didn't really know what charmed person meant, and I'm going to call it there because I don't.
Fair.
Yeah, I think you can get the implication.
Yes. Oof.
Yeah, they didn't quite understand that that flirtation wasn't a charisma skill on the character sheet. Let's put it that way. Yeah, not great. So I tried to stay true. I tried to fall in love with those characters, I think at a certain point I was having a conversation with my friend Misty, and she was just like, dude, you just need a better player. You need a better table. Like, that's just the short, I was like, but where can I find one? And Misty was like, you're an idiot. Make one. I love Misty, and she's blunt as hell, and I appreciate her because she was just like, pulled me out of the doldrums that I was in, slapped me upside the head and said, go make one. Come on, it's a game. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And I did that. And then after a bit, I was like, I really like this story. We should record it just to see what would happen. And here we are.
And then you found some strangers, and you're like, hey.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I kind of couldn't grab people from the high school game for obvious reasons. Graham was going to be one of the players though, but he couldn't, just time wise and everything. Misty was also going to be one of the players, but again, time wise.
She was there for episode 1. No, wait.
She was there for episode 1, and she got like a great deal for an art college, but that takes up a lot of her work. Like one of her assignments was to make an actual video game. Like she had to make an actual working game as a project. Yeah,
Ooh.
not like a fully complete like market ready, but like she had to do all the coding to make it work. It had to run.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like obviously at that point we were just like, no, we're not going to put this off anything else on you.
Sure.
And eventually through just time, we ended up with the crew we have today, and I don't know, I couldn't be happier. Campaign 1 ended in like March. Was it March or April? I'm gonna look. Look,
schedule. We had a Google Doc schedule because we were confused on how we would figure it out when it would end.
Right.
Campaign 2 to start in the summer since it's like islandy themed.
Yeah.
And in the ocean. And we're like, oh, summer, that'll just tie it off into the end of winter in the winter, cold, snowy town and into the summer. So we had
April 13th. April 13th was the last episode of Campaign 1, and episode 1 of Campaign 2 came out on May 18th.
That's like a month.
Yeah. We were excited for Campaign 2. I don't know what else to say. We did the test session in like November, right?
We don't speak of the test. Loved it. Loved the goofs. The energy that the players were at there. I never want to go back to that time.
I sang a sea shanty in Holloway's voice.
That's right.
That energy back.
But back then I didn't really have Holloway's voice, so it was not great.
It was just Bee voice, but deeper.
It was. But like I spent probably the entire month trying to nail like something British Isles, to be honest.
I remember the night you nailed it and you were just like, you got stuck in his voice for a solid hour. And then you finally got out and you're like, oh, guys, my voice hurts.
Yeah, like once I figured it out, once I finally got it to a place where I was happy, like it was funny because I was like, I'd gone to a call with everyone. I was like, can I just like fuck around with this voice and just see what happens? And I got to a certain point and everyone was like, whoa, stop.
That's it. You've nailed it.
And then yep. Oh man.
So let me kind of push us back on the path a little bit, because I'm very curious as to the creation of Timshel. Like, was that a brainchild of Bees? Was that a group effort? Did it grow as the players told their stories? Like, how does, because it's an interesting, we haven't really talked on here. We call it Worldbuilders Studio. We haven't really gotten into some of that development in past conversations. So I was like, oh, I know who I'm pulling for that one.
Yeah. Timshel is a weird case because it's like a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll be blunt about its origins. The first game I was in was a modified version of Lost Minds of Phandelver. Basically, we were too high level to play the game as is because we did extra shit. Mm-hmm. So the DM had to constantly keep adding stuff. And when that game ended, I wanted to DM. I wanted to try it. I loved listening to like the Adventure Zone stuff, and I thought I could do a good job of it. I trusted myself, I guess. Yeah. And because the players were all massive jerks in that game, I tried to sit with myself and say, if I'm going to run a game for these people, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I had to think about their characters, which of course made me not have positive thoughts about them because they bullied my character relentlessly and other stuff that we've gone through. So I had the idea of making a place that was far away from where Lost Minds of Phandelver happened. Somewhere where like they had a clean slate as characters, mm-hmm. and somewhere where like if they tried to get better, which was what I was hoping would happen, like by the end of the campaign, it could be somewhere where that's like they could stay in this place and have sort of amnesty, you know?
Okay.
Like have a bit of a fresh start because everything went so to shit over here.
Right.
And so I was like, that theme of like, I needed to basically make a place where these awful, awful people could have a second chance. Like, wouldn't be killed on sight, basically. I don't want to get into how that campaign ended, but like any other town would have probably killed those adventurers on sight.
Fair enough.
The only thing I'll say about it is one of the characters had the audacity to tell my DM, who was already not happy with their actions, how much EXP a child would give them.
Oh, hey, that's what?
That's great.
Yeah, that was the moment when my DM actually broke. Like, stopped the game. And was like, no, you know what? No, fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, like that was when he was like, ugh. That was his breaking point, was that question. And I think that's why it stuck with me, is because that was the moment where he broke. You know what I mean? Because he had been trying to keep the cats in a row, but that was the line that just made him give up. And I'm kind of proud of him for it, because he stood up for himself and for his story and his game. And I was like the only one who was there, like patting his back at the end of it instead of being upset. You know?
Jeez.
It was a whole thing.
So,
but
I am very, very curious, because when I've built places before, like it's really easy to get stuck in that. Oh, it looks like this. It's fine for me, it's always like, okay, I know what this building looks like. I know what this landscape, looks like, that kind of a thing. Did you ever feel like you were able to give the players room to help build Timshul, or did it?
Livy's here as a player, so she can have like her 2 cents. But I don't know. I think a lot of the groundwork was laid out.
Okay.
Like a lot of the big strokes of the world were set, and a lot of, like, if you mean in terms of buildings, like the architecture, I not really, but in terms of like the goings on of town, I think they had a bit of sway there as well.
Okay.
Considering more than half the population of the town is now clones.
Yeah, you did kind of break the setting one day.
That was my fun day.
I remember that recording so vividly, because a bit of an aside. One of the jokes, like it was a running gag with the cast, was that one of the caretakers of Caleb, the prince character in campaign 1, one of his caretakers was a character Livi made named Rose.
I made her for a side game in in C1 that took place in Timshul.
Okay.
It was a little side game called the Adventure Beans. Loved the story. There were a few issues with the players. Won't get into a lot of them. They broke me in the second session by throwing each other across this very easy puzzle dungeon. They rolled to yeet, and I just
went yeet.
Okay. But no, Rose is a little pink tiefling. She's the tiniest thing. She has an entire backstory that I have literally never shared with anyone. So it could be dragged out of me, but she's got lore. But the running gag is someone said, man, Prince Caleb only has like 3 people living in the castle besides himself. You know, castles usually have like 250 maids and other things running the castle, right? And so I said, oh yeah, it's just Rose. She just cloned herself 250 times.
Oh.
And then she did.
Oh.
They just had mapped out the castle in a specific way so that you never saw more than one Rose at one time. So then whenever it appeared like she was just really, really fast and could beat you to places, like, oh, you see Rose clearing plates in the dining room, and then 5 minutes later you see her in the kitchen washing the dishes. Yeah, sure, she just walked there really fast. She must have some sort of teleportation magic. No, there's still a Rose in the dining room clearing the plates.
It's a good gag. I like it.
It was insane, and it ended up becoming plot relevant like multiple times.
We wouldn't have won the war without 250 clones and 250 rolling pins.
There was the funniest thing about it was that the device that Rose had, because it wasn't magic. Rose was an artificer, so it was
Okay.
a clone machine. There was an episode early into the last bits of the campaign after they brought, because the midpoint of the game was bringing this character Anna back from the dead, basically. But she was a Baelnorn Lich, which is a 3.5 thing, which is basically like how to do liches but not evil. With the Baelnorn.
Okay.
Super specific to elves, weirdly enough, but I mean, yeah, they live for an elf already, right?
Yeah, that's
so,
weird.
Yeah, you had to be an elven spellcaster for the Baelnorn thing to work in 3.5.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering if Bee's audio was going to go weird.
Yeah,
there we
back.
go.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Technology.
Yes, I was saying, what part did you miss? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I think we got it all. You just, froze for about 2 seconds, and then you were okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was really specific, but Anna was an elven spellcaster, so it kind of worked itself out. But bringing her back, she had a lich form, the skeletal look, the vaguely undead vibes. And there was a point where we wanted her to have a proper design, a proper body, be alive again. And then we realized we had a cloning device and
in the basement.
In the basement. And Anna, though she was a lich, she did have hair.
Oh.
So she did have her DNA.
Blood and bones and stuff.
Right. Yeah. She had her body. So one clone of her regular body later,
After Rose smashed the lich form in with a warhammer.
Oh.
That was a weird
episode. We had to kill it to free the soul to put it into the body.
Okay. It's very violent. It's very violent.
It was
you don't understand. Effect. Rose was doing it like just procedurally, robotically. Caleb and Sari were in the corner screaming the entire time.
This is horrible. I hate it.
That was when they learned that there was a cloning device. This was their their first outing into Rose's secret life, and they just watched this all happen. I think they were actually huddled in a corner.
Oh no!
They were huddled in a corner, eyes wide. If I could paint the picture, literally paint it, it would be dark, shadowy goop splattering the walls as this adorable tiefling with a hammer smashes in a lich's skull. It's beautiful.
Should hang in a museum somewhere. The death of the lich.
Campaign one had some moments.
Jazzy.
There were just some things that happened that I thought they were great. Looking back on them now, at the moment I probably was like, what is happening? But with a completed story and being able to look back at the world, it's just man, that was a world we played in. That was a world we lived in. Moments like that are just when you can tell, no story survives first contact with the party.
It's true. What Livi, as a player in that campaign, what sticks out as other than the smashing of a lich and a cloning machine in the basement, what if you had to give a prime example or clip a piece of audio or a scene in one of the episodes, what would you clip and hand to someone if they wanted that Frostwalkers experience?
Ooh.
I'm throwing out the curveballs. You gotta give me, because I always ask these really tough ones and then people just stare at me. See, B gets to think about it.
Yeah, I do.
it'd have to be a toss-up either between, there are three scenes I always think of when I think of like if I was going to show someone the Frostwalkers.
Yeah.
And it would be either a scene from our sleepover episode where just everyone was having fun and being friends and it was great, or it would be Bee's beautiful dramatic intro to the finale episode, because it just paints the whole story in this beautiful way and it's just amazing. But other than that, oh man, okay, maybe there's more than a few. Definitely the entire episode of The Eyeless. I know I've talked a lot about it being the most terrifying experience of my life, and that is because it did give me actual nightmares.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
I apologized afterwards.
You have apologized. I have forgiven you. It is still hysterical to me but that is one of the scenes where like all of our characters really kind of shown as being different.
I would
like,
agree. The reactions
themselves.
Yeah. I guess we could give a little context. The Eyeless were creatures that brought out apathy. They
also made you sleepy and then they killed you while you fall asleep.
I think I should clarify that one actually. So the Eyeless's ability gave exhaustion, like levels of exhaustion. And it was an area thing. So this house that they were in had a number of them in the house, and the Eyeless themselves are like these gaunt undead. So almost like think like the design.
No eyes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big hollow soulless.
Yeah, like they have a
beings.
mask, but they wear a mask, like this like bag, like canvas mask, instead of like showing the undead face.
It.
See,
Oh, it
now
was good.
all I'm thinking of is the gentleman from Buffy, but with no eyes.
Oh, yeah.
That's freaking me out a little bit.
They were one of my favorite creatures because they came at such a good point in the story. The characters themselves were like prepping for the final battle, and Caleb had realized that the monster that ruined his childhood was back, and like the whole campaign was him reclaiming his life from this past trauma with his friends, you know. The thing that took all of it away is back now and possibly stronger, and that's getting to everyone, you know what I mean? Like we spent this whole game trying to reclaim our lives back after this event, and now the same thing is just going to come right back and take it all away. And that's a moment where a lot of the characters I reasonably thought could feel a sense of like, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Right.
Every time we try and make progress, this thing comes and knocks us down. Like, why fight? And they were creatures that just fed and brought out your apathy. And the longer they stayed in this home, the more those levels of exhaustion hit. And the more in RP, the more they felt this urge to do nothing.
Interesting. Okay.
And that was their killing method. They didn't fight you. They can't fight. They're too weak. They're these gaunt undead. They lose in a second. And also their ability impacts themselves is the thing. Like I have the stat sheet for them somewhere. I put it up online at some point. They have disadvantage to everything. And like negatives to all their modifiers. They are worthless.
Wait, we could have killed them?
Easily. The only thing is they had a shit ton of health. They had a lot of HP, low AC, no good con, but they just had like they were just basically walking meat bags.
Yeah.
They had a lot of health. But what made them scary was they didn't need to hunt you. They didn't need to have all these powerful strengths, you know? All they needed to do was wait. And eventually you'd get tired and you'd just give up. And that was a really tough challenge for the characters.
Yeah.
Because they were used to they had to solve a problem they kind of had to lose to win. They had to face the fact that we are tired. We want to give up, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was like at that moment when they realized like it's okay to feel those things, you know, when the actions of other characters who wanted to help them came in and started to save the day a bit. They needed someone to pull them out of their rut, if you will.
Okay.
And I don't know. And that was that to me, I usually don't like an NPC coming out and rescuing the party, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But going off of like the theme of the episode and the theme of the monster, having there be a friend to help you pull you out of your rut seemed very on flavor and very like astute for what was happening.
Totally.
And so for the sake of the cohesiveness of that metaphor, I introduced Lucas again and had him come in and rescue the party.
Our good boy.
That stuck with those characters. Like,
wow.
Yeah, that was like that was
will
only
never, ever forget the creepy haunted mansion and the eyeless beings.
Look what you did, Bee.
My favorite part, and I'm so sorry. My favorite part of this episode was I knew who these people were, because a thing that the party figured out was that the eyeless were once humanoid, as human in the D&D sense, you know.
Sure.
You get the idea. They were once mortal, and the big bad evil guy, Terror, fed on fear. So their thought process was, if we don't feel fear, it won't come for us. So they created a ritual to remove their emotions, because with no fear, they'd be safe. And with no emotions, the only thing left was apathy. And so thus began their curse. And I think I put a diary.
I found the diary.
Yeah, from the archmage who crafted this, and you watch them slowly like realize what they did wrong, realize what was happening, and like
as we read the diary, and that was when the moment sunk in.
Desperation to save themselves and their people slowly morphed into I don't care.
Yeah.
Because that was the end game. They were trying to beat their oncoming apathy, and they couldn't. And it was a dark episode, right? Like
it did come before the two, I want to say, arguably best episodes of our entire show. Pretty much.
It's true. Like
even counting even like everything C2, those two, To the River Part 1 and Part 2. Those would be the episodes I would show everybody.
Yeah, and I think I think the Eyeless had a part to play in that. Like, moving away from that story, the characters felt this sense of renewed fervor, I guess.
Get
like,
this done.
Like, they saw what happens when you give up. They saw the life you lived, and they realized they didn't want that for each other. And that pushed them to try. And that, I think, is what, I don't know, it was a really fitting emotional beat for a finale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a big bad evil guy fight. That sense of like, because I think it's a fairly reasonable question for a bunch of mid-tier adventurers to look at themselves and go, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, like in a world with archmages and in a world with gods, like, why us? You know?
Right.
And I think addressing that question was really fun from a writer's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not one that comes up. It's almost like and obviously I'm not going to paint every game and every story with that same very broad brush, but it's almost like when a lot of parties hit that mid-tier level, they're like, we can do anything, we can still die, but we can do anything, and then they just continue to barrel forward and don't necessarily have to deal with that question of we could just leave.
Yeah.
You know?
We could just leave. Really funny ending. We just leave.
We joked about it. We did joke about it. We made a lot of jokes about it.
I do remember that. We joked about like, oh yeah, we could just go. We've got some money. We could just go. Get money. Did we have money?
Oh, you guys were loaded.
We were. Did we get paid for our job?
It got
There's an IOU somewhere.
the funny thing about me is like I am bad at managing fictional characters' money, and so it got to a point where like in an episode I was like, "You guys are friends with royalty. Like it literally doesn't matter." And that was
what you lack in money skills, you made up for in we all had amazing pets.
Yeah. Hey,
I have a pet Ward named Mr. Floofers. I have a pet pseudo dragon named Cooper. I have a pet ice golem who's about this tall. His name is Popsicle.
Itty bitty.
Could have named him Olaf.
You could have. You really could have. But I appreciated Popsicle's existence. But yeah, this was Livy's question. I feel so shit
okay.
now.
No, it's okay, because I was actually going to bounce over to Livy because I am also very curious about so moving from Bee's campaign, moving from this cast of characters, learning as a player. Had you ever run a game before this?
Oh boy, several.
Okay.
Like not full campaigns, but I have done, if we count campaigns, I usually just count the first one as a one shot. I've done about 10 or 12. Okay. Somewhere in there. Little one-offs. I did a few one-offs for season 1, just like special holiday episodes.
Sure. Which I get to do, which is an awesome feeling.
Right? And then I did an episode that's called The Cat, the Detective, and the Tiny Guitar, which was a one-shot that I had written before I had even really played D&D, but I had really wanted to, and just like, I really want to play D&D, but I don't have anyone to play with, so I'm going to write this thing anyway.
Put it out in the universe.
Murder mystery party thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And it was a fun time. So I DM'd a few things.
Okay.
I was a consistent one character player more than I was DMing, but I wasn't in any other campaigns.
Okay. I'm always curious about that, because that's how I started as well. And it's always interesting to hear people's backgrounds. Bee was talking about coming off of this horrifically failed campaign and just going, well, I'm just going to fix it. and fixes it.
I did run a technical, it's more of a series of one-shots, but it's become like a campaign, but we only do it like maybe once or twice a year. And it was the day after my birthday, and I had really wanted to run a pirate one-shot for some friends, and we ended up running this pirate one-shot, which they're called the Goodfellows because the ship was the SS Goodfellow.
That's fantastic.
And I ran that one-shot for about 8 hours straight.
But here's the thing. Here's the weird thing. When we did that, at the time we did that, we were like, oh my God, that was insane. We're not, like, why did we do that? That was so long,
Yeah.
But it was so much fun.
It was so much fun. But the thing is, I've talked to people since then who are like, oh yeah, it's my Sunday game. I'll see you Monday. And I'm like, what?
Like, people just do that. But we were new.
Yeah, it's like we meet up at noon and we go to bed and we wake up, and sometimes we continue when we wake up. And like, what?
Us going to sleep counts as our long rest.
That makes me so tired just thinking about it.
Right? Like,
we did break for dinner when we played. I remember.
I've done it, but oh God.
I've only done it like once or twice in my life, and it was always been home games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I know people who do online games for like
hours,
2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I'm just like, what?
I'm so proud of them. Please stop doing that.
Please. Like,
lower the bar for the rest of us.
I love recording the game. I love recording with you guys. I love playing D&D. I love spending time with you all.
There is a limit.
I also like lying on the couch. Like I also
like sleep.
Yeah,
I like sleep. I have chores. I
also like my cats. They need to live.
Man, I remember.
Oof.
Oh yeah, but no, The Goodfellas was a great time. Don't get me wrong. I still love those characters. I love that world.
I'm actually trying to write a project, sort of write their story out, but make it make more sense, because there were so many pop in, pop out characters like during that game.
Oh, okay.
we would have
Like,
someone who
it
stayed
was-
for an hour and then left and then came back
Right.
at the end for the final fight.
Yeah, because like it was pitched as like a one shot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was supposed to be an hour and a half, and they took 8 hours. I timed it out with myself, like, all right, this is how long it would probably take to do this. This is how long it would take to fight this bugbear.
Whoa.
You didn't fight the bugbear. One of you turned into a bird. Turned out he was a cannibal, and you left.
Yeah,
I have
it was
questions.
it was a weird game because like a lot of the stuff Livy thought we'd do, we just like
Ignored.
yeah.
Like, I didn't expect Shay as Cass the Fawn to fall in love with my epic British pirate lady.
I think the word "didn't" is the confusing part. Like,
Listen, I didn't expect anyone to fall in love with her. I didn't know the power I had with Lorelai.
you were like, yeah, you were like, I don't know. I think people might like this character who's lists off like 20 great things about them, and you're just like, no, I don't know. I think
A lot of Lorelai was just on the spot, like, you know what? This is how she would react to this. This is how she would do this. She's a necromancer. She's got cool ghost pirates on her ship.
Oh, heck yeah.
yeah.
My real true love character in that one is
Don't get me wrong.
Bertha.
I love Lori.
Lori's good. I loved Bertha the most Bertha and Nadia were my two best, most beloved characters before Lorelai became important, because she was just supposed to be like,
She
yeah,
was
I'm
supposed to be
evil.
the
I've got
fall
an
guy.
evil British
Like,
accent.
Yeah, she was
That's
the
what
fall guy.
happens. That's what
but
happens. Players latch on to something, and then you're like, well, shit.
I remember the exact moment, because Lorelai showed up and she's like, all right, I'm here to destroy your ship and steal it for ransom. And then Shay goes, hey, Liv, you got a question? I went, yeah. Is Lorelai cute?
Yep, that'll do it.
And I'm just going, well, I didn't really think about her appearance till now, so looks around the room. Sure. She's got brown hair in a braid. She's got tan skin, freckles, and green eyes, which Bee, as Lucas, turned red to show she was a necromancer, which actually made her, in Shay's opinion, more attractive.
Hey, now listen. Bone daddies and bone mamas and bone peoples can be awesome.
It's true.
Let's just be real about this. I've had this conversation.
No, you're right. There's no lie.
There's no fault in that.
Nope.
So yeah, we were on a question attached to that.
No, you're okay. That's why I said this
Asked
is.
if I had ever DM'd before.
This is these things are always rabbit hole territory. I do want to make sure that I get a chance to talk to Livy a little bit about campaign 2 coming off of campaign 1. What were your inspirations for this new story?
Well, I knew what I liked in a story. And I remember it was coming towards the end of campaign 1, and Bee and I were kind of tossing around ideas like, all right, one of us is going to DM campaign 2, because no one else really wants to DM. They kind of want to stay players, and which I am happy for them to be players, as I love them as players. But I would like to see them DM at some point. But that's another tale for another time. So we had tossed around ideas of like, all right, I really like pirates. Maybe we could do something with sky pirates. We want to get away from land. We want to just maybe sky pirates. We kind of already did that a little bit. So we did a test session that I ran, and I themed off of pirates and went to, okay, let's do island. Okay, I want it to be cool and still piratey themed, so the island is shaped like the wheel of a ship. But it was built, it's like Venice. It was just built on stilts in the middle of the ocean.
I remember I sent you like art, like
I remember
paintings.
this. Yep.
Yeah, I remember I sent you like oil paintings of Venice, and I was just like, something like this, and you were like, yes, you know.
It's right around here somewhere. I've got like a paper model I built of the city, because the 3 inner rings, the innermost ring is where the statue of Keto, the goddess, she's the goddess of sea monsters. And basically the story of Ketopolis is some priests of Poseidon were like, you know what? Who sucks? Ocean god. You know who's cool and powerful? Ocean monster goddess. Let's go worship her. And everyone else is like, no. They're like, bye then. Took off, built an island in the middle of the ocean to worship Keto freely. And then it was like, we welcome everyone as long as you worship Keto. We welcome all as long as you worship the monster goddess, otherwise she'll kill you. We welcome everyone, come on. So then it became just more than just this little circle. It kind of branched out to the middle circle, which was all the rich people in the fancy shops. And then there's the outer circle, which is where, you know, like normal people live and the poor people. We've eliminated the middle class. You're either, in the words of Kat, you're either rich or you're poor as heck.
And we never said Ketopolis was the ideal place.
Right.
It's not the ideal place, but it became like a port city. So then I was like, all right, it's shaped like a ship's wheel. So then you're coming into ports from literally every direction.
Yeah, that's cool.
So then I themed a lot of it off of Greek mythology. Bee and I were bouncing around different goddess ideas, and he gave me Keto. He like listed off a bunch of them because I had been searching and going, oh man, I don't like this one. I don't like this one. I don't like this one. But Keto caught my eye, so it became Ketopolis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
man,
then
for that town at that point, that was weird. I'm just so used to it being what it is now. Sorry.
We just kind of were bouncing around a lot of stuff, and then, oh boy, Ketopolis is just, it became its own thing. It kind of flourished when the players introduced themselves. Otherwise, it was just like, there's a town, there are buildings, there's a giant statue you're not allowed to touch. Don't touch a statue. The clerics guard the statue, and the waters around it is holy water. They guard it with their lives. But other than that, the players kind of had a huge influence on how everything else looked. Like, they each work in the town. That's another thing that was different from season 1, is they all now have jobs.
Yeah, that was a real fun thing. Was, if I may, I don't want to step up.
You go.
The biggest change from 1 to 2 was, I think, the realism of the characters, if that makes sense.
It's like we've grown up. They're not cute.
I think C1
anymore.
Yeah, C1 had a very storybook almost kind of cast of characters, and I loved it. You know, it fit the whole aesthetic of Tim Show very well. But when we went to Ketopolis, there was this like of course Livi wasn't going to tell us what to do with our characters, but there was this like sense, I guess, like this unspoken sense of the character.
I wanted to take it and kick it up a notch.
Yeah, like to fit the world, the characters had to be a bit more grounded in reality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, which the world didn't really. I mean, there is more detail put into like the characters of the world who help shape it than there is into like the actual world. Besides a few like rules and regulations I have, like, oh, well, if you go into the ocean, you mess with this person. If you go on the mainland, called Odysea, because it's like Odysseus, you'll mess with these people. Other than that, there is not much that the players haven't like formed and shaped themselves. Like Bee's character Holloway works on the docks, so there's now an entire culture of the people who work on the docks because of how Holloway has interacted with them.
Right.
Yeah. Bullied, you mean.
Poor Ollie has messed with the culture, but in a good way. He's, because of the way he does things and acts, it's like, okay, these are the type of people who also do that job. They're like him. They're kind of rough around the edges, but they're coming from all these different places like he was.
Yeah. It was really fun with Holloway because I've talked about this elsewhere. Holloway kind of, I wanted to challenge myself to not do a character people would expect from me, I guess.
Sure.
Which is, hi, I'm cute and adorable and everyone loves me.
Kayla,
I'm sorry, you have a stereotype.
I do. But I think with Holloway, I wanted to make a character, especially between Calum. Like, Calum was a prince. Yeah, he had like these childhood traumas and things to unpack, but from a like cursory glance, he's someone who had his life together, you know. And his story.
As someone who knows him personally, he did not.
Yeah, but like he was one of those people who could put up a facade and looked to the outside person like he's got it made and he's dealing with internal conflicts, like himself. I wanted to make with Holloway a character who started at rock fucking bottom.
Yeah.
And watch him kind of like make something of himself in a, not in like a monetary sense, but in like a growth as a person.
Self-fulfillment. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was tough because like Livi had made this beautiful idea with like the Greek myths and like the sea-based setting, you know, and I wanted to make a sailor character, and I wanted to make a sailor, but I decided to make him not involved at all. And it was something Livi and I talked about where I was like, well, what I wanted to do with him was, you know, you have your Greek myths, right? When Livi told us the Greek mythos was a big part of C2, I thought about like, you have your chosen heroes, your Hercules, your Odysseus, you know, and then there's the person, and then there's someone, and then there's someone that the Hydra eats because they need tension. And I thought about it, and I was like, in a Greek myth, Holloway would be the person the Hydra ate to increase tension. He's a poor sailor. He's a poor sailor from another kingdom. Right. To the eyes of the Greek gods, who are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I was like, I think it'd be really fun to make a character who was genre savvy enough to know that was his lot in life and be pissed about it.
Yeah.
And watch where that went, basically. Just someone who looked at the way the world worked and had issue with the fact that the gods chose their best friend to become this great and powerful hero, and everyone else...
Oh no, he's Scar.
Yeah, kind of. Like, Holloway's just a person who doesn't like the fact that the average person probably will get eaten alive at some point, because that's how myths work. And like, when I made that concept, I worked a lot with Livi to make Holloway work, because I've got
the pages in the binder here.
You know,
in the binder.
But the big thing for me was I didn't want to make it look like I was upset at the world Livi made, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Because Holloway is mad at the world.
Yeah.
But he isn't mad at Livi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to make it very clear that this was a character who was genre savvy to the tropes of Greek mythos. Of course, we're still myths in this world, but like was aware of like his lot in life in that hierarchy, you know? But I also didn't want it to come off as I was making a character who'd break the game. You know what I mean? That was my big concern, honestly.
He's like, he'll just destroy the world. And it's like, don't worry, there's plenty of things that will destroy you first. Starting with your patron.
Yeah, that was the big handicap. But yeah, no, Livi and I worked a lot on Holloway, I think, to make him someone who like simultaneously rejected the way the world worked, but did it in a way that was still palatable as a player character, if that makes sense.
And not obviously going to become the villain.
Right.
Well, we'll see what happens to him. Yeah, his patron has plans.
Patrons, warlocks, man.
What?
If I may speak about Loranis for one brief moment. She is a siren who, I won't delve too much into her backstory as my player is listening, but she was kind of rejected by the other sirens because she just didn't want to, drown and eat her prey. She wanted to use them. She wants to use them to make herself more powerful. But what she found is, she has currently 2 patrons. Actually, now as of recently in the story, she has 3, and I'll let you figure out who that is later, Bee. And she only has 2. One of them is very rich and powerful, and the other one is Holloway. So she's getting what she wants in life, by manipulating a lot of situations and pulling on so many different strings without really anyone knowing. The biggest string she's pulling on right now is the string of Eden, another one of our player characters. She hasn't touched Nico. She hasn't touched Nico. She hasn't touched Nico or Remus, Remus is an NPC. Nico is Shay's character. She's touched everybody else. She has worked with the other two BBEGs in my overarching theme of the campaign. There's another minor one. I don't really have a name for him yet. I've just been calling him just like the guy. I really hope that's not his name.
It'd be funny if it was.
Yeah, Halloween would bully him, but it'd still be menacing. It's been weird playing a bully. Like, that's the honest to God truth.
It's been weird playing, because I went from playing the happy-go-lucky, like, cartwheels everywhere, it has a zest for life, but it's still, like, on the inside, she is serious, character, to playing such a wide cast of characters and they all vary with what they want. That's something I do with each of my characters and each of the player characters is I am very character based in anything I do writing wise. Is I want to know what that character wants. How do I stop them from getting it? Mm-hmm. So like I'm going to pick a random character out of the air. Notos, Holloway's cat, who I didn't think would become too important, but now he can talk.
Oh.
And I love him. I have named my own cat after him. This is how important he is to me.
I love it.
And his name comes just as an Oh Hello's reference.
Which in turn is a reference to Notos, one of the gods in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all worked out.
Beautiful, just string weaving through. But I want, like, there are so many things that each character wants, but what Notos wants in the world, and I had to figure this out because he's become more important now that he can talk, is he wants to be reunited with his brothers and sister, who
are also cats.
Scattered across the world.
I wasn't gonna ask, but they
are. I mean, one of them's a squirrel, one of them's a rabbit, hawk thing. They're all cats. But what's stopping him is he is stuck right now on an island in the middle of the ocean, and he can't swim.
Yeah.
So that's what's stopping him. There are things that are stopping my villains, which is some of the things stopping my villain is the player. Another thing stopping one of my villains, who just goes by Z for now, is themselves.
Yeah.
Just the inner turmoil of villainy. But it's been fun figuring out character arcs, because I try to think of it as each character as the main character. So what would happen if the entire story was about Zenari? Here's where it would happen. Here's this plotline. I follow it all from a character arc, right? And then I go to the next one, and then I weave them all together. And a lot of chaos happens in between.
Yeah.
But in the end, they all follow each of the characters, because I know where they need to end up. They end up following their own thread in the chaos and doing exactly what I want them and need them to do without them realizing. And they'll come to me afterwards and go, "Oh man, Livy, I'm sorry we got so off track with this whole plot thing." I'm like, "Oh no." Puts away 10 pages of notes. I planned that. I knew exactly what would interest you.
I love it. Oh,
yep, and it was funny because campaign 1, if I may, was a bit different. Like, the broad strokes of that story were kind of in place. Like, I knew where we were starting and I knew where we were ending. And I think arcs 2 and 3 are a clear sign that middle part was a little hard to reach. But, like, I don't know. And of course, it was my first full campaign. So, like, looking back, I wish, like, I knew then what I knew now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I love about writing for D&D, is that, like, now in campaign 2, I think having played in Livy's world, I would be a better writer for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've picked up things from Livy's style of DMing that I like,
As I
and
have done from you.
yeah, exactly. Like that's just how it is. You just like see little things and quirks in each other's writing styles. You're just like, oh, that's good.
Right.
I want that. That makes sense. And like, I don't know, it's awesome. I really enjoy it, and I love our cast because
Mm-hmm.
it's just such a good.
We've got such a good group of people
Who are all very creative in very different ways, and like watching. I think the closest we've ever come to communally creating a plot arc was Anna.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's been stuff that like us as characters wanted, of course, but like the only time I can think of that we were like out of game on a call coming up with a story together that would become canon to the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
like as a full-on plot thread, was Anna, because she was not a throwaway. She was like part of
It's
Caitlin's
like a
past.
thing.
Yeah, she
Like,
was a part of
she's in the past.
right.
Cool, she
But-
can live there for now. I guess there's nothing we can do with her.
Right, and then
We found out
you
what we could do
one
with
night-
her.
Yeah, we were one night thinking about like what is going to be our third arc, you know,
Mhm.
and
We
there
were
were
like, all
different-
right, what do we do now?
right. There was there was ideas for like some espionage stuff in Xylem, which could have been its own arc, but it kind of got amalgamated into 3, which is like my only regret.
Mhm.
Like my only regret
I'd
in
like
life.
to visit Xylem again.
Yeah, it's a cool place. That was all Shay, actually. Now that
I
I'm thinking.
know Shay is.
Shay doesn't realize how good of a DM she could be.
She has so much raw potential. I was gonna say she's like Anakin, since I was watching Star Wars recently with all the raw potential, and then I was like, oh yeah, he turned out to be Darth Vader. Maybe not Anakin.
Maybe not a great example, but like you get what we're saying. Like I honestly think everyone in our cast could be amazing DMs, but the truth of the matter is, like it's a comfort thing, you know, it's a comfort level thing. It's
They're more chill being players, and I am so glad that I get to DM for them and play with them.
yeah. And if one day they decide, like, you know what, I want to give it a shot, we're gonna support it. But you know, it's a comfort thing. We're a group of friends first. We're not gonna make someone do something they don't want to do. Is
Yes.
kind of where it comes
And
down.
that's also how I think we're so good at what we do in DMing.
Yeah.
Is we know them not just as players, but we're like friends. We're like, okay, so this person would be really drawn to this. I'm gonna thread that into this.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even down to the silly stuff, because for the
Mhm.
Halloween thing I'm writing, like, I was like, okay, Instant Hook would get them in as like a redesign, like a one-off design, and so Autumn Ball kind of look was something that this show hasn't really done before.
We
So it's
like to dress up and get fancy.
Hey,
We're all of us are artists, but we all like to just, oh yes, they would look good in this outfit and this thing and do.
We
I
did-
gave them that in episode 2 of season 2 because I knew how much we all loved it.
It is fun.
and then Carnival happened, so like that's another fun thing about campaign 2 is that we did a lot more real world culture.
Yeah.
Culture.
And
We also
so the
bullied
Carnival,
France. I'm sorry to anyone in France. I
yeah,
only bully you because I had to take your language as a course, and my teacher was. Ooh.
but
There are good
Yeah.
French teachers out there. Mine was not.
Oh no.
but yeah, I think just boiling it down, the truth of the matter is the reason we love these worlds is because we make them for people we love, frankly.
Yeah.
And like I think that breeds so much creativity. Like Tim Schul became so much more because of the other cast members. Like I would never have thought about the inner workings of the guard without Kat coming in as Finley. I never really would have thought, like, I mean, probably like I gave the classes a bit of breezed way, but the druid culture of Tim Schul mattered more because of Rowan, you know? The like rogue life, or yeah, the rogue life / lack thereof came out of Andre, and the lack thereof was actually something that hit I think, more emotionally than if they had been like a seedy underbelly of rogues for Andre to understand and know, versus this very like optimistic town where that wasn't a big threat, where this character who that's all she's known. Like Andre's from Waterdeep. We know what that's like. We've played Dragon Heist. We know what that's like.
I've never played Dragon Heist. I've played in one campaign.
You're going to, I promise.
It's fun.
Please.
But like we kind of get that Waterdeep is not like that at all. So putting that character somewhere where that's just not a thing that people think about it was cool. And I mean, I think we could talk just for a tiny second about this. I have put a lot of writing into Tim Schull, like a lot of writing, because of how much the characters mean to me and because how much the setting and world means to me. Like, you guys were there in the end of campaign 1 when I made that, like, how long was it? Write-up of all the homebrew we used in that game.
Are you talking about the homebrew document you wrote, like the book thing you
Yeah,
did?
yeah. How long did that come out to?
The last one I remember is 31 pages, but you have edited it since then. Edited it.
Yeah, basically, when the campaign ended, I just, as a love letter to everyone who followed us, like, put together every bit of homebrew I created. Boss monster, cool item, cool character.
I was especially glad that you had put the magics items in there because I didn't have those written down. And just was like, oh yes, Sorry has a ring that charges. I forget what it does when it charges. I learned recently by reading this book that it can actually cast Bigby's hand and do thunder punching. I forgot about that. She has a sword that is magic and she doesn't use it because I don't remember she has it. Bee gives us cool stuff and we forget it.
Oh, yeah. I know that pain real well.
Especially when you build, like, when you create an encounter and you're like, if they use that item that I gave them, like, it's going to be a real, like, they have the tools to win, and they forget.
And then they forget, and you're like, sucks to be you. And yeah.
Then, I did go, I was on 0 with 2 failed death saves because I forgot I had a sword.
But yeah, like, Livy and I don't know how much of this Livy we can spoil, but I was talking about it with Joe Timmis last week, actually. I have been heart set for like months now to make Tim Schull like a full-on supplement.
Like a setting book?
Yeah, like DM's Guild style, you know? Like, it's been something that's I've been so, like, hard on my sleeve about with people, you know?
Yeah.
Because I the world, and then I was like, you know what? This year's been crazy. Like, I can do it anytime. I want to take a breather. And then I get an email. It's like, D&D announces Arctic Horror as a for the new campaign. I'm just like,
Arctic and horror is what the pretty much two, well, that and like family and ice cream are the words I would use to describe campaign 1. Bee likes his spooky. We had our frosty town.
And I mean, Tim Schull itself is meant to be a very safe place. It's like what's outside of it that's threatening, you know? And I think that's another interesting difference between Tim Schull and Katopolis is Tim Schull, it was like this, Tim Schull was a place that you had to go out and protect because you wanted to keep the threats away from home base. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think Katopolis was a lot more internal conflict within the city. And that's super fun to play.
There's bad people. There's people with guns.
But like, I don't know, it's so cool to look at the differences, especially because C2 happens 100 years after C1. Like,
oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
It takes place in the same world, just 100 years later.
Just 100 years later. That's cool.
So the main NPC, my little drow boy named Remus, actually grew up with the story of Prince Calum fighting the Shadow Dragon as a bedtime story.
How great is that?
It happened when he was born.
Right.
He's 100 years old. The campaign is 100 years old. So he grew up with stories of Prince Calum and all of that just in his heart. Like, everyone knows their favorite good bedtime stories are like Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia. you remember those things because they like shaped your childhood.
Right.
Well, Caleb shaped his childhood and made him be who he is. And so then, you know, the day he finally got to meet Caleb, he nearly died.
That did happen, because the one difference between your typical 100 Years Later story and a D&D 100 Years Later story, 9 times out of 10, most of the characters are still around.
Yeah. Even humans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. That's just such a nice little nod. It's just like, I just love it. I love it so much. I love those little tidbits that get woven between stories like that.
It's so cool. The first, I think it's fun to say that the first character from campaign 1 who appeared in 2 wasn't Caleb. The first character from campaign 1 who was mentioned in campaign 2 was a bit character in C1. It was this tiefling from the finale. They were mentioned Yeah, like they were meant. I guess we can very quickly touch this. In the finale of campaign 1, I did a frame narrative sort of deal where
was beautiful.
The intro was this little tiefling boy being told the story of the events of the finale as if it was a story, and that was the frame narrative. That little tiefling character kind of stole my heart, even though they had like nothing going on really. And when campaign 2 started, I told Livy, like, hey, I have like
yours.
Yeah, pretty much, like, go off with them. And sure enough, they became the first C1 character to appear or get mentioned in 2, and that was just cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Lore became Remus's history teacher.
Oh, that's great.
He's traveling the world collecting lore, as the name suggests. And so he stopped in Catopolis because there are so many different cultures seeping in from every port. So it's a very easy place to just stop for a bit and learn so much.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Share your wisdom and get lots of money.
Lore, even over Caleb, became my self-insert, frankly.
Because B is the lore DM.
I mean,
we had titles at one point in
we did.
Our
it was a joke,
friendship. There were joke titles. You were the Lich of Lore, and I was the Lich of Romanceable NPCs.
That's what it was.
I will never forget that title.
It was funny while it lasted.
I'm not ashamed of it either.
No, you should
I could
put that on a pillow.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, you just like cross stitch it.
Cross stitch it into
you
a pillow.
Should. Oh my gosh, how funny would that be? That'd be great. And actually, you could probably sell it, and people would buy it. I'm not even joking.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah, you might want to just. Yeah, you can have that one gratis. You can have it. Well, I hate to cut us off, but we are out of time. So as much as I love and adore these people, we should probably let folks go here. So just real quickly, I know it's on the bottom of everyone's screens, but if you will just tell folks where they can find you as kind of a quick wrap up, that would be lovely.
I suppose since B went first, I can go first.
Sure.
This time. My name is Livy. You can find me through the Frostwalkers Podcast at Podcast Frost. We're pretty much everywhere you find podcasts, like literally everywhere. I've given up on trying to remember everywhere. You'll find us if you search for the Frostwalkers Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at livia.b.art. You can find me on Twitter at liviab20. And that's pretty much all the other places I am. I don't do a lot of other things. I guess I'm on TikTok, if the teens are into that. I believe I'm livia.b20 there.
Oh, okay.
Because it was like D20, and I will be 20 this year. It was like a cool, clever way of doing it.
Don't talk about how young you are. You're going to make me very angry. I'm teasing.
I know.
You.
I'm the youngest person at my workplace by 40 years.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah, that was me when I was 19, 20. Yeah, totally.
It's a fun place to be. Also a weird place.
It's a weird place to be. It's a weird place to be. Okay, B, same thing. Podcast Frost, and also.
Yes, at Wilderveer, just at Wilderveer on Twitter. Wilderveer on Instagram.
How do you spell Wilderveer? Because I always forget how to spell it.
WYLDRVIR.
And it's on the bottom of the overlay too.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy we didn't get to talk too much about it this time because I love talking Frostwalkers as much as.
Yeah, well, and we've done some Wilderveer stuff.
We have
on the channel, so I wanted to go back to the OG.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The original stuff.
The only thing I will say is, honest to God, and like, Livi knows this story because Livi was there for its inception. Wilderveer as a game and as a project and as a product really did just happen because I wanted to do something cool for the podcast.
Yeah.
And you couldn't figure out how to do it.
And then I just kind of
you kind of just exploded writing creatively wise, and you were just going off, and I remember nodding even though you couldn't see me because we were on a voice call, and then I fell asleep.
Yep.
And you and our friend Ava were just going off like, yeah, this thing, and I'm just like, yep, I'm still listening, I'm just mostly asleep. It is like 2 a.m. Why aren't you guys asleep? They didn't go to sleep. They did not go to sleep.
I remember this very distinctly because I got like a barrage of messages on Discord.
Yeah. It was our community's great. I love the Frostwalker community because they validate our insanity.
Aww. Oh my goodness. Well, you two are absolute joys. Please come back again.
Aww.
Come back again sometime. Come back at the end of, when is season 2? Like, do you all have an end date? Do you know?
And then we didn't have an end date for season 1. We're still in arc 2.
Okay.
And let me pull out
the notes.
I have a mini journal inside of my binder for keeping secret ideas.
Oh, Livy, you and I have the same problem.
And currently we're in arc 2 out of potentially, depending on how things go, 12.
Oh, I was gonna say come back at the end of season 2, but maybe we'll come back in like a couple arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be good.
Okay.
Maybe we could come back at the end of arc 2 or maybe the end of arc 3 would be a good place to.
Then we will just
that is
ping me when that happens, and we'll
good story stuff.
There we go.
I'm excited. Genuinely, I am, and not to be like. I guess the last thing I'll put is Livy and I, as much as we're deeply in love with the games we've told, I think it's safe to say we're always just like brainstorming future ideas. And the funniest thing to us has been like one of the things we made as a goal this year was like, they're pulling into the binder.
I was trying to get it back in the pocket, but I can't.
That's fair. But I was just saying, like, I think a thing that's true of both of us is like, even when we're like loyal to a project, we're like also like, well, there's always the future.
There's always that project over there.
Exactly.
Something shiny on the side of the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a crow with rights.
Yeah, pretty much. So
anyone who is going on a walk with me can attest that I just stop and pick up metal things I find.
When it comes to the future of what we're going to be up to, honest truth is we don't know yet.
I like that answer, though.
On a sort of maybe graphic novel webcomic adaptation of the first campaign I ever wrote, which was The Goodfellows, but I'm like kind of rewriting it.
Yeah, and my big project for Frostwalkers at the moment, since I'm no longer the DM, is just I really want to make Timshel something people can play at home. And
yes, and I support this.
That'd be really cool.
The cast have been so nice because it's like, you've already made like 2 documents full of stuff, so let us write a paragraph, please. I want
to draw stuff for it. Just like you can do all your cool whatever you want. Just like let us help, please.
Yeah.
Don't disappear.
I think I had
the writing cave.
I think I had an epiphany a few nights ago. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need help.
Yeah, I hit that wall. Yep.
Yep. We're just like
It
I have
exists.
like. Yep, and it was one of those.
I'll send you the adventure notes.
Thank you. Yeah, but that's it for us. We don't really know what's coming next.
That's okay.
Campaign 2 is always going to be, until it is done, Campaign 2 is our main focus.
Fantastic.
It's our little child.
Definitely go give Frostwalkers Podcast a listen. Give them all your love. Because these are fabulous people. I can attest to that personally. So, you two are fabulous, and I don't know when. I think I have another World Builders next week. I don't remember. I don't think I've booked a time yet. It's with Darling Archer from the Manapot Studios. We'll figure that out, and that'll be good. So thank you all. Thank you, everyone. And if you missed any Worldbuilders Studios, I've got 6 or 7 of these in the hopper already. So they're all on YouTube and Twitch. And then you can always just watch this one again as well. Look at that.
Yeah.
Put it on repeat.
Watch it back for the memories. Watch it back to try and learn all the secrets.
Mm-hmm. That's true. There were secret messages through that whole thing. You have to watch it again. Be good to each other, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.